and we'll see who comes out alive. Let's kick this one off into overdrive.
And for the first time, we do not have a default line of scrimmage. We have eSuba just running into the bot side bushes, but FGG, he's not having, I would say, the most, the best angle in that situation. He was never going to get into the tri-bush before he were to be seen, so I feel like Supermassive reacted pretty well.
I think he was baiting. And if I'm being
maybe
either big or very small brain here, maybe he was baiting with the engage over the wall, was banking on someone sitting there and chasing him down, leading them right into the 4 people waiting in that lane brush.
But then you think, then you put yourself in Supermassive shoes and you're like, wait, this Rel just jumped over the wall and lost all of her mobility just to get around this tri-bush? She can't be alone, right? And the mind games started coming in, and I feel like FGG was fine either way, but I feel like eSuba could have played that differently, and forcing the leash on Danny and FGG is not something you want to do after you try that play.
Well, that's fair. That is very fair, but we also have a ward down in both jungles, so eSuba very much aware of where Haru is starting, and on the other side, well, you at least know that Tinks is not on his red buff, so everything kicked off on bot side, slowly but surely, and we go for the first hook on Farfetch'd. This one goes wide, but this is what is going to happen on this bot lane again and again and again. Farfetch'd will just continue to go for plays on this Nautilus.
Yeah, you can do that. It's obviously hard to do that on the Rel. She steals resistances. She's very hard to pin down. But on the Zeri, that's exactly what Holy Phoenix and Farfetch want to do. They have kill pressure, they have damage, and since Haru started on this bot side, yes, maybe he's going to take a while to get there, but I don't think they even need the jungle intervention, and they just survive on their own, and Haru will be focused on playing around Seren.
Seren, the big carry. Wouldn't that be something? The man that has, at least in theory, been underperforming the whole tournament so far. He's almost written off a little bit by at least our analyst desk, for example. And Juzu, the man who has been dominating in the top lane, now under fire as Tinks is rolling in. It's still a Cho'Gath, he still has the flash, he just needs to get out, flashes away from the body slam, and here comes Haru, double knockup, secures a few more seconds, the Wukong is in, Bobista not looking too healthy, they're going for some damage, but Juzu is just going down, gets shot in the face, and that is a little bit of plunder and booty for Bobista.
That is a 2v2 that Supermassive shouldn't have been on in the first place. Juzu loses the trade against Bobista because his wave state is not ideal, I would say, in any way, shape, or form, and Tinks just takes advantage of that. That's a huge win for the Czech squad.
Haru in a not great position.
Oh, wow.
So much burst! I'm not sure if he had a clone, but he had a flash, and he just gets taken out. eSuba profiting off the misplays massively.
And I think this is, like, it's important to think of how unplayable the Gangplank matchup is into Cho'Gath. You can't poke him down because the Cho'Gath sustains off dead minions. You can't really win with your barrels because the Cho'Gath has an auto attack reset. But Juzo is making all the wrong steps, and now Gangplank has 2 kills in his name, and he's ready to take over the match.
That's, oh my god. So I'm normally a top lane main, and I don't even want to think about how playing this this lane is gonna work, because a Sheen at 4 minutes for Bobista? This is gonna be disgusting. And of course that means Haru needs to hover more around top lane. This Gangplank is 2 levels up. If they don't equalize this lane, sometime soon Bobista's just gonna run away with the game.
And this is such a big wave, which makes sure that Bobista cannot be ganked, but they're still going for it.
Oh, there's the knock-up, there's the damage, but the return still looking pretty good. No flash, no summoners on Bobista, but he's still looking for the fight. Dodges the knock-up, still has another W. Get some oranges on this man's blade, because he is winning it 2v1.
I told you, you couldn't have done that. Supermassive goes for the 2v1. Did you see the size of that wave? Gangplank He had the remove scurvy throughout. He was ready to heal whenever he needed it most. But look at the bot lane.
Oh, return damage. Crash down shield is in, but he's burning. Farfetch dropping low. A return kill. Supermassive with the solid answer on the bot lane.
Let's see if they can match this Gangplank later, however. This is still to be expected to an extent in this bot side, but of course, FGG wouldn't have wanted it to happen this early.
Exactly. At least. Holy Phoenix and Farfetch'd are making things happen. Saren, so far looking solid in the mid lane as well. Currently 10 CS up. The world's experienced trio here on Supermassive. Keeping them in the game for the moment, but Bobista is an issue already. Look at his inventory. That's a Clawfield's Warhammer and a Crit Cloak on top of that Sheen. He is gonna run away with this lane.
Oh yeah, he is. The Essence Reaver is so close. He could probably just farm like a couple more waves. He goes back to base. Boom! Essence Reaver. Infinite mana, basically. He just has the 20% crit, just in case he's feeling, I don't know, feeling himself and just flashing in as he did before. So I'm expecting this Gangplank to make waves.
Look at Warshi being very intent on shoving this wave out. They want the mid lane prio. He wants to base, and I mean, Dragon is up. It's a Chemtech Drake to start the game out, the first one this series, and eSuba, I mean, with this top lane advantage, you definitely want to go for these things.
Oh yeah. eSuba could make this happen, especially since Bobista is level 6, which means the Gangplank will always be able to assist in any kind of skirmish in these situations, but at the same time, I don't think that mid prio is that necessary since you're losing bot lane pretty hard, so I think the important thing here is for eSuba to keep the resources on the Gangplank, and if the Dragon runs over to Supermassive, it doesn't matter. It's just a Chemtech.
Just the Chemtech, but it is a Nautilus engage. Danny finds himself with an anchor in his face. Just some HP traded out here for the moment. Both bot laners here for eSuba have their flash still available, so a little bit of disengage very much available. All in all, vision line very much established though for eSuba in the river.
Yeah, eSuba are pretty comfortable with their vision. Again, they don't want to go for the Drake, but they can at least see what Supermassive's intentions are. So, as long as Tink stays in this top side, he's probably going to get the Herald. He's going to make sure that Supermassive don't surprise them with a bot dive, for instance, which makes it so that they don't lose on any side of the map.
And already, Haru working his way into the river. The vision line gets pushed back. Nice sweeper work here from him. Sees the blue buff is up, and eSuba, they have to react to the pressure that Supermassive is once again putting on this bot wave. They are on the turret, and FGG all by himself underneath gets dove, and the damage is in, but the lightning crash comes through. Solid damage on Farfetch, and down goes the Nautilus. Danny gets traded with a beautiful Feather Storm, but it's a 2-for-1, and here comes Varshi. Double burst, and boom! Double kill for eSuba. Saren can only watch.
And that's exactly what eSuba were trying to avoid when they set up the vision line on the bot side. They didn't want their bot lane to get dove, but the moment Tinks wastes so much time on the top Herald and he ends up not even being able to gank Juzo, it means that Supermassive have the go button. It means that Supermassive go for the dive despite the information, and it's a very well executed dive, but eSuba still get the 2 kills on Varshi.
That is the big thing, right? Warshi having his mid lane cleared out. He is able to come in just in the nick of time to clean house. And now we're not talking about a 3-kill Gangplank in the top lane that you need to work around for Supermassive. You're also talking about a 2-kill Victor in the mid lane. And let me tell you, getting a Victor rolling early, that is nothing you want to deal with in a mid game with a comp that can't scale properly into the late game.
Yeah, not at all, and you also get so outscaled. This Varshi is just gonna tear up the Cho'Gath regardless of how much HP he ends up having. The Syndra will not be able to reach him most of the time. The Xayah, again, it's not like she can play unless the enemy is running towards her, and Victor isn't gonna do that. He just needs to buy a Leandres, sit back, and bask in the glory of all of these resources.
It's a good day to be an eSuba fan, at least here for the early game. But it's not yet over. Holy Phoenix has hit level 6. This is where the Supermassive bot lane can start to pop off. And quite honestly, these guys are not doing that for themselves. They got some kills on these dives. Saren got a kill as well. He is well into the game on the Syndra as well. So there is still playmaking potential for this Turkish team. This game is far from over. But the dragon is picked up. That's the first one of the game in the bags of eSuba, including that first herald. That's a pretty good spot to be in for the early. Wow. And Saren just gets absolutely wombo comboed. Oh my god, Tinks with his sexy Gragas.
If you're buying Sorcerer's Shoes into double AP mid-jungle, you're probably bringing this upon yourself. Saren ends up getting destroyed by the Victor and the Gragas, and yes, Supermassive should have gotten the dragon. They were trying to trade sides and they didn't because of the disaster dive. Holy Phoenix is starting to have to give priority. Everything is going downhill, even on the side of Supermassive that was trying to win on their own.
Indeed. We were talking about win lane, win game. How do you win the game if you don't win lane? That's now the question we gotta talk about. And quite honestly, it's gotta be off the back of Holy Phoenix and Saren.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I feel like Saren can't really do anything on his own, but Holy Phoenix has so much responsibility on this comp, and it's not what he wanted to do, especially when this Gangplank is loose.
Half HP just casually walks out of the brush. Oh, you want to farm? Yeah, man. Where's the HP tax? Thank you.
But, well, it's still a Cho'Gath, so you saw how quickly he got most of that HP back, and it's not like the Gangplank will ever have any semblance of kill pressure, especially since the Cho'Gath still probably deals more damage if he hits his skills. But still, this Gangplank is gonna rain terror in most team fights regardless of the lane matchup.
And the problem is, you have the ult on Babista now as well, and other than the Cho'Gath, he can have global impact. So any plays that, for example, eSuba is lining up on this bot lane currently, could be supported with the GP ult.
Yeah, I feel it was just used, apparently, by Babista, and look at him. He has 3 kills, 3 assists. He has the most kill participation in the game, and he's a top laner. What is this? This makes no sense.
Yep, 90% kill participation on the top lane, has not left lane since level 1, except for basing. That's impressive. That is impressive, to say the very least. But of course, eSuba, as we just talked about, they shoved in bot wave a little bit. I think they got some platings out of that play, forcing Holy Phoenix off his turret. And they're just going to snowball their advantage slowly but surely. 4k gold up already, and they are continuing to put pressure on Supermassive.
Yeah, I feel like they can't really afford to not do that at this point. They have such good leads, especially on Vachi. I feel like he's the big factor in this mid game, because if the Victor did not get those kills in the bot side, I'll be like, okay, it's still a Gangplank. He's gonna take a while to even show up in fights, so I'm not too worried about Supermassive's chances. But the moment this Victor is so far ahead, your mid prio is completely gone. You can't rely on pushing those vision lines up, and if that happens, you're probably just better off using your side lanes, and I guess that's what Juzo is trying to do.
Can we... after the dive for the moment, it's going to be the Gangplank. It's going to be a massive shutdown for Holy Phoenix. Super important pickup for Massive. There's the cast, there's the knockback, the Feather Storm coming through. Holy Phoenix trying to maneuver himself out. There's a blast cone. He can't use it. He just gets killed off. And the chase on Holy Phoenix is on, but they cannot find him. Great dive here by Supermassive for a big shutdown on the GP. But it's a 1-4-1 overall. Not the best situation, but something.
Yeah, I feel like eSuba didn't really think about their lane assignments in this situation. I saw Babista going down, there's no Drake. Like, your Gangplank is too far ahead for you to go towards your normal lane assignments at this point in the game. And so Supermassive were ready and armed to actually deal with that. Great dive. Still, it's not like eSuba are too unhappy about it. Yes, Holy Phoenix got a few more resources, but it's still a Xayah against that comp. What is Holy Phoenix gonna do on his own at this point? And the answer is...
Well, they can do a little bit more now with the Gale Force picked up. Divine Sundra and the Sunfire coming through as well. Got a little bit of Herod. Oh, massive 3-man Magnet Storm. Follow up from Warshi. The Chaos is in. The Death Race as well. And Denny just goes hard, picks up Haru. And in the 1v1 of the ADCs, it's the Zaya actually that has the upper leg. Juzu is gonna be cleaned up in just a second. Another crash down is gonna come through. And that is gonna be it. The ace for eSuba.
What a wonderful ace from eSuba. Supermassive bite off a little bit more than they could chew. Yes, they had the numbers advantage. Yes, they were trying to get that Rift Herald at all costs, but they forgot about the Rel. They forgot about the AoE damage. FGG flashes in. 3 people caught up in the Magnet Storm. Look at Danny, the damage he's dealing. Yes, he misses a couple burst fires, and because of that, he doesn't win the 1v1 in between 80 carries. That, and obviously, the Gale Force, but eSuba clean house, and they're looking scary.
And we were talking about FGG on the rail during draft, right? In game 1, he really did not perform on that one. This time around, like a young god, he's going into the team fights, but this time around, it's Supermassive finding picks. The TP from Juzu comes in. FGG is trying to get away, but this is a Rel without her horse. TP follow-up, everyone alive, Tink still in. Oh, finally, the Rupture comes through and picks up the kill, but Danny is on the chase. Double-man Cyclone here from Haru, and he dips out immediately. The Cho'Gath is cleaned out, and Bobista looking for a fight. Saren pushed away by the Chaos Storm. Another crash down, and the CC comes through. Holy Phoenix, Massive Feather Storm with the Dagger Call is gonna do insane damage, but overall, the wallet is just a little bit too painful as eSuba clean up another team fight. But good lord, our Supermassive still in the game.
eSuba looked very messy. They started off the Dragon with, again, a numbers disadvantage. They will force a TP. They were a bit late to the party, but Supermassive couldn't do their thing, and mostly because of those wallets that you were talking about. The gold is so far ahead for Bobista, for Varshi, and they just did a great job at showcasing that.
Especially Warshi, man. Oh my god. 8-0 on this Victor. 6-6 on Bobista's Gangplank. The late game comp is at late game at the 17th minute, basically.
Yeah, they are already too scary. I don't know if you caught that barrel that dealt like 700 damage to Juzo. He was just he thought he was fine, and then he was just obliterated from the river. So Bobista is already too scary, and these quick blades just add insult to injury.
But you can still see, like, Supermassive is not out yet. You can see the quality of their team fight is absolutely high. Haru especially finding engages and knockups and CC on the prime targets that he needs to be on 24/7. And Farfetch, once again, going for an attempt. The dredge line goes wide, so nothing they can do here for the moment.
There certainly was an attempt, but as long as Danny is safe, it should be fine. Still, it's Farfetch. He's playing Nautilus. He knows he can just press R, and Danny is out of the fight, but he's not even your biggest concern. I don't even think he's your second biggest concern when you have to deal with the Victor and the Gangplank with the way they've accelerated their build. So when your Nautilus, whose sole purpose is to deal with Azeri, can't even do that successfully, it just goes to show how much eSuba are being able to subvert expectations.
It is incredible. They are on a road to victory. It's gonna be a little bit longer before they can cross the finish line, but it is in the making. Supermassive are gonna do their damnedest to stay in the game, to make something happen. Holy Phoenix, the 1v9 angle, as some would call it in this situation. Well, he definitely needs to perform, but he also has Saren still in the game. Ludens completed for the Syndra in the mid lane, and currently a Banshee's Veil in the works.
Okay, no Mercury's Treads, but the MR is finally starting to show now that she isn't really playing laning phase, which, again, I feel like it's a bit redundant at this point. Banshee's very easily procced, but at the same time, what are you blocking? Maybe a barrel from Gangplank, maybe a Death Ray from the Victor, or maybe a W from the Zeri. So those are all high damage, high burst, high cooldown at, I mean, not all of them, but most of them, which means that the Banshee is always going to have value, even without the MR, so it's still a good purchase, since Saren's damage is the least of his worries at this point.
Exactly, and once again, Farfetch flew in for an engage as he knock up onto Danny, the follow-up by Haru, nice Cyclone, the damage is through, and they take out the Zeri immediately. Featherstorm coming through, Dagger Call coming in as well from Holy Phoenix, they do some massive damage, but now the cavalry has arrived. eSuba is here to clean house, Magnet Storm is on cooldown, and FGG can't connect. Supermassive find a pick, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. I was saying that Farfetch couldn't fulfill his duties because of Danny, but eSuba know that they would win a fight if it happened right now, regardless of having their AD.
This is such a good call. They know Haru is down, the jungler can't be anywhere near to contest this Baron, and they just go for it, although the ADC is dead. Saren goes for a little bit of poke, but it's not gonna matter. Once again, eSuba with a massive Baron call.
Wow, I wasn't expecting the Baron call, but I was expecting eSuba to take over the map after that 1-for-1, because again, Danny is the least of Supermassive's worries. They just got the kill because eSuba weren't ready to fight at that point. So the Baron comes right afterwards, no smite from the side of Supermassive, and yes, the objective bounty is claimed in the top side, but eSuba are still so confident in themselves.
And now you have a Gangplank on 3. Oh, I don't even want to say it, man. 3 items with the Baron buff. Split pushing. Went for the Collector third and already has a crit cloak in his pockets. Good lord. Bobista is absolutely going to be destroying Sidewaves.
Yes, he is. He does not need a mythic item. That lethality accrued to the armor penetration on his barrels is just so deadly. If there's a champion you want to build Collector on, Gangplank's your man, and Bobista is a menace, a force of nature, and that Banshee's Veil on Saren is the only thing standing between him and a one-shot.
Indeed. Bot lane turret is going to drop in the meantime. You can see Supermassive trying to make some plays towards this top lane tier 2. Well, honestly, this looks almost like it's going to come down to a little bit of a base race, and that is definitely going to go the way of eSuba thanks to this Baron buff. Also, they just picked up the 3rd dragon, Soul Point now in their pocket, and it's going to be a Cloud Soul. So, not the worst case scenario for Supermassive, but also not fun if you have to deal with something like a Gangplank or a Victor.
Yeah, not at all, and also the Rel. She just runs in with the Magnus Storm. It's just very, very dangerous because the Rel is not a champion you often associate with movement speed, but the Cloud Soul can definitely change that. In any case, if this game does go for a base race and Supermassive realize, okay, we can't fight him, so might as well try to beat them in the side lane, there's a Gangplank. You're never gonna be able to actually match cross-map as long as the GP can just press one button and completely invalidate all your attempts to siege, which is what happened just there, and which is why eSuba got a free dragon.
Exactly, in worst case, you just send Warshi in with a Death Ray. He's gonna clean the way from max range and be very happy. And all in all, well, it's make or break point now at the 23rd minute mark here for Supermassive. If they can start to find a few fights that go their way, some sort of picks that get them back in the game, they could still look at winning this series, but it's all on eSuba to make some mistakes.
Are eSuba gonna do that though? I mean, they don't even care about face checking. They have so many tools to actually shove Supermassive out of bushes, and I mean, it doesn't even matter whether they have the Baron buff still or not. They don't, but these tier 2 turrets are still going to go down because it's not like Supermassive can actually do anything without showing themselves on the wave, and if eSuba gets that, they can easily pick you up.
Baron power play in the last seconds now underway. 7,500 gold advantage for eSuba currently, and they are just looking to snowball that even more. Baron in 2 minutes 30, Dragon Soul Point in 3 minutes. So unless we find some random fights, it's gonna be a little bit of a chill, sieging situation. Farfetch still found Danny. That's a little bit far forward for the Zeri, and the damage is good. The Blade Caller is in, and Holy Phoenix picks up the kill together with Saren, and this is exactly what Supermassive needs.
Exactly what Supermassive needs. 80 carry out of the picture, and again, Danny wasn't even being backed up by the rest of his team. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. Supermassive take advantage of their vision. Another objective bounty, and the gold lead is getting shorter and shorter by the second.
Yep, 6k, and, well, that's some solid damage on the barrels. Man, I really don't like seeing that. It's so scary to watch for Supermassive, but 2 turrets down, gold lead diminished to 5k, so crazy swing in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, Supermassive are hanging on for dear life. They're doing a great job at using their compositional advantages. These single target pick potential abilities are being used to their full extent. Farfetch, great job at always knowing where Danny is and trying to negate him from any kind of security. And at the same time, Saren, the Syndra really hurts if she can follow up on the Nautilus engage. So Holy Phoenix doesn't have as much responsibility at this point, except inside of team fights, and the rest of Supermassive are pulling their weight.
Yep. And there you can tell that this Turkish team has the experience. They've been to Worlds, they've been to MSI, Saren, Holy Phoenix, Farfetch. These guys don't crack under pressure that easily. Even if the early game goes completely south, they're still staying in. Haru, even though his scoreline doesn't reflect it, in my opinion, has had a very solid game in terms of the team fights that they've played. So it is really down to, can they find the right fights? Because the wallet overall currently is looking way better for eSuba.
Oh, it is. It's been better, but it's definitely still very good for the Czech team, so Supermassive are still very afraid of walking in the river, and eSuba know that, but Tinks is trying to cut off the wave, I guess.
It's a very dangerous position. Farfetch
Yes,
going
it
in
is.
once again, finds this time Warshi, but the Chaos Storm on the turnaround. There goes Haru, 3-man Cyclone, and he has to back out, run away immediately, and now it is on eSuba to run them all down. There's the lightning crash, and looking for the first pick. Down goes Juzu. And with that, they have a free go at Baron.
Wow, Supermassive throw the grenade, the explosion doesn't kill the enemies, and the shrapnel just isn't enough. Supermassive has to run away, run off to the dragon as eSuba catch up on another Baron buff, and honestly, I don't think there was a single way that Supermassive could have made that work the moment the first kill didn't happen. Even Haru in the backline, yes, you get 3-man knockup, but there's just so much disengage on the Gragas alone. Tinks has little responsibility but to peel for his backline.
It's exactly what you said in draft. eSuba can play forward, they can play backwards. No matter what you do, they have an answer to you. And that's not even taking into account the massive gold advantage they have in this fight. They play their comp perfectly currently, and even though Supermassive is struggling greatly, it's solid what they're playing since the 20th minute. It's not enough right now.
Yeah, it just feels like the draft is too different at this point. Supermassive needed those leads in the early game, and even though they're taking great strides to make that work at this point, it's another Baron buff. It's more gold, more EXP, and it's Holy Phoenix alone.
Oh no! Where did the Xayah go? Did you see? I didn't.
He had zero. The Gragas had 0 kills, and he still did that to the Xayah. And people say 80 is broken.
I mean, his fault for picking ADC in the first place, right? One way or another, eSuba are knocking at the door. They've not made it to through play-ins in 3 years, and this is where it all comes to an end. This streak might end right here as Juzu is getting chunked out. The engage comes in from Farfetch. Solid burst damage here onto Danny. The Xayah is in with damage, and down goes the Zeri. Sorry, there was no Xayah, but the Zeri definitely is dead. It's not quite over yet. Supermassive live to fight another day.
Supermassive get the pick, and again, Danny, the one being picked off as eSuba lose their AD carry, and yes, it's not like he was the biggest concern for Supermassive. As I've said, there's a Victor, there's a Gangplank, but Zeri's still very much necessary if you want to finish the game.
You gotta give a shout out to Farfetch's Nautilus, right? This man has been consistently picking Danny for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the hook this time around. It like
good.
curved around the minions. It was just so good. He did a great job with that dredge line. It just feels like Supermassive have Danny's number at this point.
I mean, he is wanted, right?
Yeah, he's the most wanted man, even though he doesn't have the biggest bounty on his head. And again, eSuba need a lot more to finish this game than just use Varchi and Bobista's burst. They need to hit turrets, they need to be secure of themselves, and at this point, they're still trying to go slow, but still faltering at some steps.
What we haven't mentioned so far is the fact that they cracked the base and just straight up killed off 2 inhibitors, which is going to put massive minion pressure on the base, obviously. And now the top lane is the last target. Supermassive can't even clean out the waves. Here comes the cannon barrage. It's going to put a lot of pressure in. Farfetch actually wants the fight. Saren starting that one off with a beautiful scatter of the weekend. Look at the poke. FGG almost killed off. They force off the Rel, and with that, they're going to prevent anything else falling apart from this tier 2 top.
Yeah, that's completely worth it for Supermassive. Yes, they waste cooldowns on the support, but it's just Farfetch's cooldowns, and matter of fact is, there's not a lot of time or downtime on that depth charge. He's gonna be able to use it again as soon as eSuba get back from base and are hitting on those turrets again, so it's just a great play from Supermassive, knowing, okay, we can't fight them head on. There's obviously a cannon barrage in the way, so let's just go inside the jungle, see who tries to scout, and stop them from getting more now that the Baron buff is gone.
But the Baron buff is gone. The soul point was denied, so no Elder Drake on the table. 1 minute until the next Cloud Drake, a minute 45 for Baron. Most likely, we're not going to see a trade-off here, so this is all going to be on eSuba to clean the map before they go for the throat and finish off the base. But Supermassive, they still got a few more opportunities to maybe pull this game back. And if we look at their items here for a second, right, they are in a position to do it. Holy Phoenix, 3 items plus a stopwatch, 3 items on Saren with the Rabadons. The Syndra is going to do massive damage, and Juzo, honestly, that looks like an almost unkillable frontline.
Oh, it does. It's not completely unkillable because there's the LDR on Danny, there's definitely the Void Staff on Varchi. That's definitely going to help with the Leandries with that magic damage, but the Cho'Gath is very hard to kill. However, the Cho'Gath is easy to ignore to an extent because eSuba, again, they have the range. The Cho'Gath is not gonna be able to reach most of the enemy carries most of the time unless the setup is perfect and unless that rupture hits, so eSuba are still safe when it comes to that front line. They get their soul anyways, and they're just playing it slow, waiting for the Baron to finish the game.
Slow but surely. Supermassive still stalking around their own jungle, but they're still looking for a little bit of an angle. Tings doesn't quite find Haru, only his clone. eSuba has been in the EMEA Masters for so long, one of the most consistent teams in terms of getting to the play-ins.
Yep.
And now they might finally make it out. They're on the road to victory still, but Supermassive are fighting back to the nail. And now Farfetch once again goes in for the engage. The cannon barrage is on in though. The burst damage is good, but Farfetch is dead in eSuba. They're looking for the re-engage. Juzu gets slowed up and everyone is just collapsing on in like a locust. They try to feast, but Saren still has a word to say about it. Here comes FGG! It's a Magnet Storm, and they are gonna clean house. If it wasn't for Holy Phoenix trying to turn it around, the Feather Storm doesn't go through because Bobista puts a bullet through his head. It is an ace for eSuba. They are gonna crack the base, and after a 3-year drought, the Nexus is gonna fall and the sun is gonna rise on a new era for eSuba as the Czechs are back in the main stage of the EMEA Masters.
Not only is this a great sight to